Every single year, there is controversy surrounding the NBA MVP. And all of it is because of the NBA and how they've handled this award for years now. Let me first say that I think Nikola Jokic was deserving of the MVP. This year, they gave it to the best player. He is the best player in the NBA. And this year, they gave it to the best player in the NBA. I have no problem with that. If that is always going to be their criteria. Because if that is always going to be their criteria, if the criteria is always going to be the MVP goes to the best player, then I understand in Nikola Jokic deserves the MVP because he is the best player in the NBA. But the issue that we face, the issue that the NBA faces, is that is not always the criteria. The criteria changes every single year. Because if you ask me, in my opinion, the MVP is somebody that takes their team to heights that is unexpected and still ranks high amongst the NBA greats that are playing today. Which that criteria has been applied for several occasions. So while I believe that Giannis is good, while I believe that Nikola Jokic deserves the MVP if they are going to give it to the best player, if I had a vote this year, which obviously I don't, if I had a vote this year, it would go to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Because what Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has done is he's taken a team that had little expectations this year. He's taken a team that if you look at their age, it is comparable to a college team. If you look at their team, they have so many first-round draft picks for years to come because they're planning for the future, not the now. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander took that team and brought them in the West, that is widely renowned as the tougher conference. Took that Thunder team to number one. On top of that, he's amongst the league leaders in scoring. Not the league leader in scoring, but amongst the league leaders in scoring. And he is the most important piece to this Thunder team. A Thunder team, which we will talk about later, that is currently in the second round of the playoffs. The reason why this conversation is even able to be had is because of the inconsistency of this award. Because if you look back at history, this award has been inconsistent since the dawn of it. Because think about it. Michael Jordan didn't win the MVP every single year he was playing, which means that it doesn't always go to the best player. LeBron James didn't win the MVP every single year he was playing, especially in his prime, because I guess that means it doesn't go to the best player. Well, if you look at some of Nikola Jokic's MVPs, his team wasn't the number one seed. So obviously it doesn't go to the player that is the MVP of their team. Because if that's the case, Jason Tatum would have some consideration. Obviously, rankings or your team ranking doesn't matter, right? Because again, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander took a team that nobody expected to be as good as they are. He took them to the number 1 seed. And if I understand they have Jalen Williams, I understand they have Chet Holmgren. Best believe if you took Shai Gilgeous-Alexander off this team, they would be damn near a lottery team. Same thing with Jalen Brunson and the Knicks. You take Jalen Brunson off that team, the Knicks are a lottery team, especially when you see the injuries that they dealt with all year. The NBA will continue to have issues around this award if they continue to not have solid criteria to who should win, because every single year is different. So again, if you want to say that the MVP goes to the best player in the league, then yes, Nikola Jokic definitely deserves it because he is the best player in the NBA right now. And that is only, obviously it probably would have gone to Joel Embiid if he wasn't hurt and he didn't miss that game played threshold. But if you ask me, and if you go by some of the winners that have won the MVP before, like a Kevin Durant when he was with OKC, like a Steph Curry when he at Golden State, like some of these Derrick Rose for the Bulls, winning the MVP at 25. If you're going to go by who was the most important player, who exceeded expectations, who took their teams to heights that we didn't see and was the MVP for that team, then it is for damn sure Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, in my opinion. Because you know what precedent this sets? It sets such an ugly precedent because now you look at Shai Gilgeous. What is Shai Gilgeous going to say? You know how tough it is going to be for Shai Gilgeous to get back to this point? I'm not saying that he's not going to be great. But do you understand, again, Joel Embiid probably was the MVP if he didn't get hurt. Let's hope he doesn't get hurt next year. Now, I'm not saying you award it to somebody because they're never going to be here again or there's a possibility that they don't get here again. But what I'm saying is, what metric says that this season, Nikola Jokic has had a better season than Shai Gilgeous? What metric? Because the only metric I see is the name. Nikola Jokic is a better player than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. That is it. Yeah, he has more rebounds, but he's also a center. Shai Gilgeous averages more points. And on top of that, Shai Gilgeous took his team higher than Nikola Jokic took his team. And might I add, Nikola Jokic's team is a defending championship team. Meaning they're expected to be good. And Shai, and no disrespect to me saying this, but Shai is on a team with a bunch of kids. An NBA land, a bunch of kids. And they're number 1 in the West. And in the second round against the Mavericks. The NBA is going to always run into this problem because there is no guideline, there is no concrete rule that they go by to hand out these type of awards. Hell, it's not just MVP. You can talk about Defensive Player of the Year. Victor Wembanyama has more blocks and more steals than Rudy Gobert. Yet Rudy Gobert has won his 4th Defensive Player of the Year award. Until the NBA finally gets more consistent with handing this trophy out, you're always going to have situations like we had with Shaq the other day, talking to Nikola Jokic, which I kind of respect. I mean, I understand both points. Like, I respect that, he wasn't, I'm not going to say he was bashing Nikola Jokic, but he was pretty much saying, like, he was, how some people would, I guess the phrase is smile in your face and then talk bad behind, talk behind your back. I thought it would be hella weird and hella disingenuous if Shaq was pretty much saying, I believe Shai Gilgeous-Alexander won, and then 3 seconds later you're having an interview with Nikola Jokic talking about how great you are and how you deserve the MVP. I think that's kind of crazy. So I understand that he prefaced that, but then I also understand the corny side, like, you probably shouldn't have said that, But again, this is the situation. This is the issue that we run into, and this is the issue that we will always run into. Because again, and lastly, I will say this: if you're giving the MVP to the best player in the league every year, then I have no problem saying that Nikola Jokic deserved this MVP this year. But you, NBA, don't give it to the best player every year. And you, NBA, are constantly inconsistent with how you hand this award out. Because if you talk about the player, or if you give the award to the player that has reached heights that we didn't expect to see, is amongst one of the best players in the league, has made a tremendous jump, and has their team with the best record in either conference, then I don't understand how you can justify not giving it to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And don't get me wrong, bro. Luka has an argument as well. Because Luka averages, leads the league in scoring. Luka is, if you combine points, rebounds, and assists, I think he has the highest amongst, like, the highest total in NBA history, or one of the highest totals in NBA history this year. Yet and still, he finished 3rd. And that's another thing. And I'm not going to elaborate on that, but Nikola Jokic won by like a landslide. And that is, I don't understand how that is even possible when you see the season that Shai Gilgeous has had. But hey, as disingenuous as it sounds, I truly mean it. Congratulations to Nikola Jokic for winning his 3rd MVP. I think becoming the 9th player in NBA history to have 3 or more MVPs. Shouts out to you. Oh, man, you stayed to the end of the video. I appreciate you. If you like what you saw, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss any content from your boy. You can also go back and watch past episodes, past clips, and don't forget that the Unpopular Podcast, new episodes drop every Wednesday and Saturday. Appreciate you.